guys, Like and Braid here, and I am so glad to be home, but so sad to be away from my friends. This is my new friend, Mr. Yeti. I just went to Disney for a couple days with friends. Got to meet up with one of my best friend from high school, and spend the weekend because it was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but I got to spend the weekend with her. And I also got to meet two of my Facebook internet friends that I know through the anime convention that I go to every year. Well, I met them through that / online, the Facebook page thing. It's weird, but we're friends, and we finally got to meet in person. And I also got to meet my newest internet friend, or one of my newer internet friends, Dominique from Service Dog Paws. We met through YouTube, and I became her first moderator, and now I'm like the main moderator for her channel. And I finally got to meet her in person on Monday, so that was great, and we got to hang out, and it was amazing and wonderful. But Saturday, my friend from high school, Mystique, her mom was passing through my area, so she picked me up, and myself and her mother went to Animal Kingdom first, and we got in and got me a wheelchair and got going, and we kind of walked around Animal Kingdom and saw some stuff, and then we went over to Epcot, which Epcot, we should have known better because it's Food and Wine Festival right now, but that's what she was wanting to do, and I was just kind of tagging along for the day because my friend had to work, and she works in Animal Kingdom. So we went to Epcot, and we had to go on the transfer bus, and then we got off the bus, and we had to walk through the gates and go over to the wheelchair area. And they didn't have any transfer chairs, which are they're push chairs, but they're different from the push chairs that you have in the park. They have like a tall flagpole on them or something, and they're not as well kept up as the ones in the park, because they're just kind of meant to get you from the bus or the tram into and out of the park to the tram. But there wasn't any getting off the bus, so I had to walk, and that didn't work out too well. We got about halfway from the bus area to the gate, and my heart rate spiked up really bad, and I started getting the spots in my eyes, and I had to sit down. And so we sat down, and I caught my breath, and I started doing breathing exercises to get my breathing to slow down and my heart rate to slow down. So we got that settled. We got back up. We walked through the gates, through bag check, and got over to the wheelchair area. And by that point, my knees were killing me. And so by that point, it was like, ugh, I was exhausted. But we were over there, and then they tell us we don't have any wheelchairs. We didn't have the money to rent the ECV, the electronic conveyance vehicle, or basically the electric wheelchair. We didn't have the money for that because it's $50 plus a $20 deposit. So you pay $50 to rent it for the day, and then you have to have $20 to put down as a deposit, and then you get your $20 back when you leave the park, and then if you go to any other parks, because we had park hopper passes. So each time you go to a different park, you have to put down the $20, and then they give it to you back, which is okay, I get $20 back, but I still paid $50. I still have to have $70 to rent the wheelchair for the day, and I get $20 back, but that's still $70. And even if I didn't have to put down the $20 deposit, still $50. So I didn't have the money to rent an ECV, so we had to wait for a pushchair. And while we're just standing there talking to the guy, all of a sudden my heart rate just goes woof. through the roof, and I start seeing spots, and she's just standing there talking, and all of a sudden I'm just like smacking her arm, like smack, smack, grab, and I'm just like, I need to sit down. I need to sit down now. And like she's just like, okay, we'll get you sat down. And so like around Disney, you'll see like they'll have a lot of planter areas, and they're up off the ground at about bench level, and then of course they've got like what looks like benches, and they put those around the park so people can sit down. So there was like one of those areas right in front of the wheelchair area, so we went over there, and I actually laid down and kind of like propped my legs up a little bit. I had to lay there for probably 20 minutes to get myself back to normal enough for me to be able to stand up and everything, and then it took about 45 minutes for chairs to rotate in and out of the park, because we were like 6 on the waiting list, so we had to wait for like 6 people to bring push chairs back. And so finally enough people brought push chairs back, and we got a push chair, and we went into Epcot, which Epcot itself was not bad, but actually going into the I don't know what, the World Showcase. So it's like, if you go into Epcot, there's like a normal area of Epcot that's like a normal park, but then there's like this big loop. It's just one solid ring, and it has different parts of the world. It has like different areas that represent different areas of the world. And during Food and Wine, they not only have those areas represented, but then they also have extra stalls and stands set up to represent even more parts of the world. And in each of those stands, they have drinks and food items that they don't normally have, most usually, for the Food and Wine Festival. And the drinks are like alcoholic cocktails and things like that. I'm not sure if they have like non-alcoholic drinks you can try. They might. I wasn't interested in the drinks, as I can't drink right now. So I wasn't even looking. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't have money, and unfortunately Food and Wine is like, you get these tiny little cups of beverage and you get these tiny little portions of food, but it costs you anywhere from like $4, which is not so bad for a tiny little bit of food, like a tasting portion, but then it can go all the way up to like $10 and something for like a tiny little portion. So I got like one thing, and luckily it was not a day where I could eat a lot, so I was just like, I was full with like my four or five little bites of food, so I was like, good, I'm good. And it was terrible though. I mean, it was so crowded, and I was in the wheelchair, and people were just walking out in front of me. Of course, there's a lot of people who were trying too many drinks and getting a little intoxicated, so they weren't paying attention. And just, it was awful. My anxiety was off the charts. And finally, we're just like, okay, we've eaten, like, she got to try some stuff, and we're just like, let's get out of here. So we went to the Coke place in Epcot, like, where you get to try all the different Cokes, and I actually like Beverly. And if you don't know what Beverly is, if you go into the place where you taste Coke, they have they have like Cokes that you can taste, or not Cokes, but they have Coke brand sodas that you can try from around the world. And one of them is called Beverly. It's a blue label, and it just has Beverly written in white letters. And it's an Italian soda, and it tastes good, but the problem that makes it that people don't like it is because it has a very extremely bitter aftertaste. But it's not really meant as a soda to drink. It's like a palate cleanser, or I think it might be supposed to be mixed with stuff, but I like it. I can't drink, I won't sit there and drink like a whole like big mug of it, but I'll definitely drink like a few of the tasting cups of it before I'll be like, okay, maybe I don't need one anymore. So we tried Coke, and then we went on the Figment ride, which is like a kiddie ride, but it was fun, because it's, you know, you just get in these like little tram cars and you go through, and Figment's like this purple dragon, and it's an imagination ride. It's really fun. It's fun if you're like not wanting something, if you're wanting something for the kids, definitely check it out. If you're an older person or any age and you're just wanting a very chill, kind of cool ride, go on that. It's very chill. There's no like dips and bumps and anything. You just ride through, and it's like fun song and colorful things. And then afterwards, there's like an activity room for the kids where they can do some like fun interactive activities, like Simon says, on the wall and stuff. So that was fun. Oh, yeah. We went back to Pandora. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe I almost forgot about going back to Pandora. But we went back to Animal Kingdom to go to Pandora because that's where my friend works. And we're like, let's go on the river ride. Because I haven't been to Disney since they added the Pandora. Because usually the only reason I go to Disney or can go to Disney is because one of my friends that works there has a spare ticket or something. Or like they're inviting a bunch of people out for their birthday or something. And so we went back to go, and of course there's no fast passes available because the fast passes for like a lot of the rides in general go really fast whenever they put them out, because I think they put them out at like 10 in the morning or something like that. So you can go ahead and claim fast passes first thing in the morning. So fast passes for rides in general go really fast. And then, of course, it was the end of the night, and I didn't think we were going to, like, go on rides and stuff, because I wasn't sure how rides would affect me. But she was like, okay, well, this is a river ride, and it doesn't even have, like, you know, like, some river rides have, like, a drop or something. This didn't have, like, any drops or anything. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll go on it. Well, it was, like, late. We'd been there all day, and I was exhausted because I had insomnia the night before, so I hadn't slept at all. And we've been at Disney all day. I had I had 2 moments where I just spit. I just spit with growth. I'm sorry, Yeti. So I had 2 episodes where my heart rate spiked. And one of them where I came really close to passing out, and so I was exhausted. Just being out in general exhausts me, so being at Disney World all day and then almost passing out twice really got to me. So I was like, okay, we have got to do something relaxing. So I'm like, we'll go on the river ride, because we still had some time before my friend got off work, and because I don't think my friend got off till like 8 or something. And so we go to get in line, and the wait says 120 minutes, which is crazy. Needless to say, we were in this line forever. We made some friends in line because of the fact that we were in line forever. So we made some like temporary in-line friends. And I was so exhausted, and I was in pain because it was cold and then it was hot, because Florida's having like a cold weather spell. But the problem is that some days it's like freezing in the morning and then it's frying in the afternoon. And so my body was like constantly, my joints were like constantly swelling and unswelling all day. So I'm exhausted. I'm in the chair. I end up taking a 20-minute nap in the wheelchair in this line because we were in the line for so long. I think we were in line for almost 2 hours. It was ridiculous. Because the line time kept fluctuating, because I think at one point the ride had an issue or something, I don't know. But we got on it, and it was amazing. The graphics and stuff look great. The one animatronic on the ride is a Na'vi shaman, I think. I think she's supposed to be a Na'vi shaman at the end. Amazing. You get so close to her, and she looks real. Like, she looks like they literally took a Na'vi and put her in the ride and just have her there. And you feel like you could reach out and touch her and feel her heartbeat. Like, she's that real. So definitely worth checking out. Not so sure if it's worth the wait time right now. So, like, if you can wait until maybe a newer section of the park gets open, because I think they're working on Toy Story now, like a Toy Story area. So if you can wait till like a new section of the park is added or opened up so that congestion can die down in Pandora or something, I would heavily suggest doing it. Or if you can snag a fast pass, definitely snag a fast pass for that ride. It's worth it. Not really sure if it's worth the wait time, just because, like, you know, most people when they go on a ride, they want something to happen on the ride. They're looking for a little bit of a woo, you know, at least a little bit. But this is literally a river tour kind of thing. Like, you get in there, you ride through, you see the environment of Pandora, and you feel like you're in Pandora, and it's amazing, but it's a really long wait just to be looking at stuff. So, yeah. So that was pretty much that day. So then we went home, and the next day was just pretty much chill at my friend's house in Orlando. So that was fun. So we just got to chill and hang out, and which was cool because we hadn't got to see each other in a while. And then the next day, we got up with plans to meet with my 2 online friends, Sydney and Vanessa, and Dominique from Service Dog Paws at 10 a.m. at Animal Kingdom. That didn't happen, and I don't know why any of us thought we were going to be on time. I mean, I'm glad we set the time at 10, because if we'd set it later, we wouldn't have been there till even later. But, basically, myself, Sydney, Vanessa, and Dominique all have chronic illnesses. Now, Sydney, Vanessa, and Dominique all have service dogs, and Dominique has a baby. So I don't know why any of us thought we were going to get out of the house on time. But we all made it. I think we got in the park around 11-ish, and we went into Pandora first because Dom wanted to see Pandora. And then, well, when we initially got there, we got the disability passes set up, and we got a wheelchair for myself because I was like, I'm not going to be able to walk through the park, of course. Between the incident the other day where I passed out just from trying to walk, or almost passed out from trying to walk from the bus terminal over to the wheelchairs, and just the general pain I was in because this cold weather is killing my joints. Not that they don't hurt every day, but this is like constant swelling and unswelling. And then, of course, with my new issues where I'm having hyperextension and dislocation issues, it's not helping either. But anyway, we got the disability passes, or the disability pass set up so that we were all in the same, like, little group, and then we got the wheelchair for me, and we went in and we got set up for a ride time for Flights of Passage, which is the simulation ride in Pandora. And then we decided to go explore Animal Kingdom while we're waiting, because we got a ride time of like 3 o'clock. So we went and we saw like the Lion King show. It's like a musical show. It's not like the actual Lion King musical. It's like a musical show, Lion King themed. I can't remember what it's called, but we saw that, and I think we went on a train to go look at monkeys and go to the petting zoo, which was fun. The dogs weren't allowed in where the goats and the pigs were, but we stayed on the outside of the fence, and the goats and the dogs were like booping noses through the gates. It was really awesome. And then we went back, and I'm trying to remember everything we did, because we packed in quite a bit. So we did the Lion King show, we did the train ride. I think we came back and went to eat. Yeah, I think we went to Satuli Cafe, or Satuli Canteen. I'm sorry, my friend will kill me if I get the name wrong, because, like, she works in the area, so, like, she would kill me if I get the names wrong. So we went into Satuli Canteen, and we got food. The food was amazing. For the desserts, they have, like, a chocolate cake mousse and a blueberry cheesecake mousse type thing. Get the blueberry one. If you like dark chocolate and you like rich chocolate and rich things, get the chocolate cake one. If you don't want something that's so rich, you want something that's more fruity and fun, get the blueberry cheesecake mousse. It is not like a super rich cheesecake, So it's not going to be like, oh, this is cheesecake, it's so heavy and rich. No, it's not like that. But the chocolate cake is super heavy and rich. So just warning you on that one. I got the cheeseburger balbas, which are like buns, steamed buns with like cheeseburger stuff in them. Amazing. But anyway, then I think our ride time was up for passages, flights of passage. So with 3 service dogs and a baby, we had to do rider swap. And luckily we had exactly 6 adults. So we were able to do, and the rider swap is good for up to 3 people. So that meant 3 people got to go, then the other 3 people got to go. So that meant basically we were able to have 3 people sit behind, which our groups were Chase, Dom's husband, Vanessa and Sydney. They would go on the ride first, while Dom, Mystique, and Mystique's my friend, I don't know if I said her name yet or not, we would sit behind with the 3 dogs and the baby, and then we would swap. That way there'd be a parent there for the baby each time, and there would be at least one experienced service dog handler with the dogs at all times. So they went first, and then we got to go. And it was amazing! Like, honestly, had it not been for the fact that the lines were so long, and had it not been for the fact that we couldn't get fast passes like crazy, I would have went on that ride all day long, done nothing else, and been a happy camper. I would have. I would have just, I want it, I want to buy it and own it in my backyard and never get off of it, ever. I will just ride it all the time, every day, for the rest of my life. It was an amazing ride. So if you can get on that ride, get on that ride. Get on it. Flights of Passage is amazing. If you have to wait out the 200 and something minute wait, or however long the minute wait is, plan it into the schedule. Make it the first thing you do when you get to the park. Get to the park super early in the morning. Try to get your fast pass. Do whatever you gotta do. Get on the ride. It is amazing. You will love it. Now, the ride is like a motorcycle. You have to get on a motorcycle-like thing. And then these little panels are going to come up underneath of your knees, behind your calves, and then one on your back. So just be comfortable with that. It doesn't go upside down or too sideways or too forward or too back. You just do a little bit of stuff. But between the 4D wind and sprinkly water and screen and 3D and movement, it feels totally real. Like, to the point where when you get on it, there are panels between your legs that make you feel like you can feel it breathe, like you can feel the banshee breathing between your legs, and you can feel its heartbeat. It's amazing. But after we went on that ride, we went and got wait times for the safari. So, and then we kind of explored and did things. Made it back to the safari, did the safari ride. I didn't tell Dom about, now if you've ever been on the safari ride at Animal Kingdom, you will, so spoilers, just a little spoiler here for the ride. Just skip like a little bit ahead and you'll not hear this. But there's a bridge you go over, and the bridge gives out underneath of you. It just kind of is like, and then like the driver's like, oh no, we'll get through this, and then you get over it, and it's really cheesy, but like it gets people, and it got Dom. It got her, because I'm like, hold on to the camera. And she's like, oh, I am, and then like I didn't want to ruin it, so I didn't want to tell her, and then all of a sudden it's like, she's like, you know, I hope it, like, she recorded the whole safari, so I hope the camera picked it up. I hope it did, because it was funny. But the safari was awesome. I think we saw all the animals that you're supposed to be able to see on the safari, except for the monkeys. The monkeys weren't out, but we saw all the other animals that you're supposed to see. In fact, there was a white rhino on the edge of the road, and like the driver had to basically like double remind everybody to keep their hands inside and everything. And there was a white rhino on the side of the road, and literally all I would have had to have done is just go boop, and I would have booped a rhino. But I was like, nope, I'm not going to boop a rhino, because then the rhino might try to boop me, and that would have not been a happy day. Not been a happy day. And then I think we, you know, explored and saw some stuff and did some stuff. I'm sure I'm forgetting something that we did because I got a concussion. We decided to go on Expedition Everest at the end of the night. It was late, and we're like, you know what? We're gonna I think Chase and Vanessa and Sydney might have been talking about Expedition Everest, because I think Chase was wanting to go on a coaster of some kind. But this wasn't like a coaster. It's not a coaster that goes upside down or anything. It goes up and down. It goes through a couple steep up and downs. And then it goes backwards through the whole ride. So you like go through the whole thing and then it takes you backwards really fast. Like going forward, you're not going as fast. But then backwards, I don't know if you're going faster or if it's like an illusion of going faster. But we stuck to the same groups for the rider swap as we did before for the previous ride. So Chase, Vanessa, and Sydney went on the ride. And I think Sydney had a seizure on the ride. So that should have probably been a warning to us. But then Mystique, Dom, and I went on the ride. And Dom and I were concerned because Dom has diagnosed POTS, and everybody that has POTS thinks I has POTS. So basically I'm not diagnosed, but I have a lot of the symptoms, and you know, I don't like to self-diagnose, but I'm having passing out issues, and I'd be surprised if I don't have POTS. Like, if I have something else, I guess I have something else, but it's not going to surprise me if I end up going back to my doctor and I get diagnosed. But we decided to go on the ride together, and Dom and I decided that the smartest option to try to protect ourselves was to sit together, because it was kind of a thing of, okay, if one of us is by ourselves and we pass out, there's nobody there to help us. But if we sit together, you know, then we could protect each other. But we didn't really think about, you know, what if we passed out at the same time. And so, yeah, we ended up passing out, and she booped her head and I booped my head on the back. She's got like a goose egg, and I've got a bad spot on the back of my head. I actually didn't realize till I got home that I had busted the skin because I had blood in my hair when I got home. And I have a concussion. Probably why this video may not be like the best is because this is like 2 days later, because it's the 1st and we went on the 30th. And I'm just now starting to feel better. Luckily, we saved that for the end of the day. Now, if you want to see more in the moment details and like excitement over Disney, Dom's gonna have, as soon as Dominique comes home, because I think she's supposed to go home on the 2nd or be home on the 2nd, videos will start going up on her channel of her whole trip while she was down here in Florida. And then one of the videos is gonna be, I think, the safari and maybe a couple clips from Disney while we were there. And then of course there'll be an outro at the end where we're talking about the day and the incident on the ride and everything, and she shows you guys the picture, which I think she put it up on her Instagram, of me passing out. Like, the picture caught me mid-faint. It's funny. Actually, I think I have a copy. Do you guys want to see it? Like, I don't want to ruin the thing, but she's already put it out on Instagram or something, so I'm going to show it to you guys. But, so this is my friend Mystique, riding here in front, and then there's Dom, and there's me fainting. Like, this is literally right at the moment I started to lose consciousness, and as you can see, I have my arms, like, around her, and that's because she fainted before I did, and then All I know is that we were holding hands, and all of a sudden her hands started to loosen, and I'm thinking, okay, is she just letting go? And all of a sudden I see her head fly forward, and wham! And I'm just like, oh no! And I like grabbed her, and I was holding her, because I was like, okay, I know she doesn't like to be touched when she passes out, but this is the only option right now, or she's gonna just be like, you know, bapping all over the place. So I grabbed her, and then she came back, and then all, like, pretty much just like a few little bits after she finally got, like, her bearings back, I went out. And then I think there was a point where we might have both passed out together, and then we got off the ride and passed out in the gift shop, and then we were leaving, and we went to the front of the park to try to get a doggy set of ears for Max, her service dog. And I passed out in the store. So it was an interesting way to end the Disney World trip. But like I said, if you guys want to see like a more excited, adrenaline-filled storytelling of that, and like some more details, and see like Dom and the other people there talking about it, check out her channel. And she'll have like the video of the safari, and then she'll have our outro where we're all together in the parking lot of Disney trying to do this video because our camera died, so we couldn't do it in the park. But basically they ended up actually giving us pictures free. Dom has like the big one, and then she gave out like the little ones to a bunch of us that were there. But I'm gonna put it back in my hair. I want to be fashionable with pictures. There you go. But she's gonna take the big one and frame it, I think. And then I have a couple copies of the small ones. But it was a fun and interesting thing. And I'm sorry if I'm not really looking at the camera, but like, it's my laptop camera, and there's like a tiny little white light next to my laptop camera. And it's really bright, and even having those lights on are bright because I'm still suffering from a concussion. And that is how a Yeti gave me a concussion. Why did you give me a concussion? Why? Why did you give me a concussion, Squeezy? Why? But that's kind of like a brief rundown of our trip. Where did my picture go? Well, there it is. Let me put him over here with the other one so he doesn't get lost. But I'd say the only other interesting things that happened throughout the day had to do with the service dogs and just like the general public reacting to service dogs. It was ridiculous. This video is going to probably be long, and I apologize. But I can't tell you, like, we would just be walking in the fast pass, like the fast pass lane, because when you do disability passes, you go through fast pass. So we'd just be walking down through the fast pass lane, passing people, and you just hear, dog, ooh, a dog, hey, is that a dog? Is that a service dog? There's some dogs. Oh, look at the cute doggies. Doggos. Woof, woof, woof. Like, we literally had some guy barking at the dogs at one point. Luckily, he only did it like once or twice and he stopped, but it was just like, really. And then at one point we had like two kids just come up and straight up grab handfuls of Kita, one of the service dogs, first. They just like reached in with both hands and just like started grabbing on the dog, and it's just like, no. And then I don't know if they spoke English. I think they spoke Spanish or was it Spanish? I think it was Spanish or something very similar. But we're just like, no, illegal, no, don't touch the dogs, like, because they were not understanding English, and we kept telling them no, and the mother was just like, how dare, she just had this look of like, how dare you tell me my children can't pet your dog, and like, some random dude just tried to like walk up and just grab dog, and just, no, and then some random dude walked up and it's just like, hey, are you guys training service dogs? And then they're like, oh no, these are our service dogs. And he's just like, oh really? For what? like two, and then it was funny because I got kind of behind the group, and you know how you kind of get, you know, separated whenever you're kind of a bigger group at Disney World. And this guy is just like, oh, you got, because I was like, man, I gotta get back to my group. He's like, oh, you got separated from your group. I was like, yeah, my group's up there. I was like, you probably saw them. They got the dogs. And he's like, oh, they have service dogs. What are they for? And it's just, I'm like, well, you know, different medical issues, different things for each handler. And he's like, oh, well, what medical issue? Like, he was wanting so many details, and I'm like, first of all, that's kind of invasive. I'm like, we're in the middle of Disney World, and if you were asking me about my medical problems in Disney World, you're just a complete stranger, I'm probably not gonna really want to tell you. And then, like, you're asking about somebody else's medical problems that aren't even mine. I'm like, it's not really your business. And I'm just like, oh, you know, different things. I was like, it's not really my place to discuss other people's medical problems. And I'm like, I didn't like, well, you know, it's rude of you to do that. But I'm just like, you know, I find it rude to talk about my friend's medical problems without, you know, getting their go ahead or whatever. I mean, it was a nice family because it ended up being like they were talking about they had wanted to get a service dog for their daughter who had diabetes, but apparently, like, they were just like, we're not disciplined enough for a service dog. They literally admitted, they're like, we could get a service dog, but we feel like they're like, we could get a program dog, because they're like, we couldn't own or train. They're like, we don't have the discipline for that. We could not own or train. So they're like, if we got a program dog, I feel like we'd just be wasting money, because they're like, we wouldn't keep up with the training. And they were being honest about it. And I'm like, hey, I mean, there are a lot of people who aren't honest about it. But, and then there was just like other, just all day constantly, hey, a dog, just constant comments and commentary from the peanut gallery. And then at one point we were doing the rider swap thing, so Dominique, Mystique, and I were waiting next to Pongu Pongu, which is like it's like a drink and snack stand that's connected to the gift shop exit of Flights of Passage. So we were waiting to get on Flights of Passage. And Mystique, Dominique, and I were there with, Mystique had Sydney's dog, Kita, and I had, Kyrie, Vanessa's dog, and Dom had Max, of course, and we're trying to, like, you know, keep Liam, her son, calm and everything, because he's 1.5 and he's at a park, and you know how like little kids are at the park. One minute they're like, yay, everything, the next minute they're like, my life is terrible, you know, little kids. So we were sitting there outside just kind of trying to relax, and Dom almost had a syncope, or a Paws episode, however you want to put it. Max alerted, and she was able to lay down and put her feet up and abort it before it happened, which was good, because we're like, we don't want anyone passing out. Later we had everybody passing out, but that's not the point. But this one lady sat down across from us, and she had her phone out like she was texting, but it was like kind of like, you know how you can kind of tell somebody's not really doing what they're doing on their phone, and then all of a sudden you hear clickety, clickety. Like, it was so obvious. And she's sitting here taking pictures of the dogs, and there were people all day sneakily taking pictures. There were some people asking to take pictures, and I think there were 1 or 2 times that pictures were allowed, but a lot of times there were just people just taking pictures when they weren't allowed. And of course, you know, people trying to touch and people talking, commentary. And I'll be honest, if you're someone who thinks you need a service dog, or thinks, oh, it would just be so great to have a service dog, you know, it'd be the greatest thing ever, and you don't really need a service dog, or you're like, you know what, I've got a disability, I don't really need a service dog, but it'd be cool to have one. Or even if you really need a service dog, or you could benefit from a service dog, I think you should go hang out with some legitimate handlers and have to go to a theme park with them and see what they deal with. Because, oh my god, like, if you're considering a service dog, you really just need to go to a theme park with some other handlers and just see what they have to go through to go to the theme park, because that is a big, like, just big flow chart, big kind of spreadsheet chart of all the different kinds of things you're going to have to deal with on a daily basis trying to go out in public with a service dog. And while there are so many benefits of having a service dog, I think unless you need it, and unless you can, you know, unless you are able to deal with that, and unless you really need a service dog, I think it would make a lot of people who don't really need them realize that faking them is not a good idea. I don't know. I just think it would be good for people to go hang out with a real service dog team in an environment like that, and you'll realize how absolutely irritating it is for every person you pass by to just be like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? What kind of breed of dog is that? It's adorable. Once in a while is fine. But the problem is you don't know when the last person is someone has asked or talked to that person. And it's kind of like that, oh, well, hey, I'll talk to them because I'm sure nobody else has talked to them. But you could be like literally the 10th person that has stopped them in the past 5 minutes. And it's so annoying. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way things kind of play out. But it's so annoying. And I will say the good thing is that I did hear and see several groups of parents that had children. And the children were like, ooh, doggy. And the mommy's like, no. You need to not call out to them, and you need to not bother them. They're working. And then, like, they would explain to their children, like, what service dogs do and what they need to do to respect them and everything. And even at one point at the end of the night, we were trying to get the pictures from the ride. So me and Dom were, like, out of it. And, you know, everybody else was really tired, and the dogs were there. And there was this little girl that's like, Daddy, I want to go pet the dogs. I want. And the dad's just like, no. You see, these dogs are working dogs. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you see there, it says service animal or service dog, do not touch. And he sat there and he, like, explained to her everything about it, and it was just a precious moment, and it was amazing. And I kind of made eye contact with him, and I'm just like, thank you so much. Because honestly, like, we were not, even though at that point, you know, the park was closing, so there really wasn't a lot of people there anymore, so that might have been one of those kind of rare opportunities where someone might have said, yes, she can pet the dog as long as she understands that this is like a once in a blue moon kind of situation. It was just a moment where everybody was exhausted. Everybody had just had some kind of episode in the last hour or so. So we were wiped. We were done, and I don't think we could have dealt with anything, and it was just so nice to have that moment of thank you. And I will say that it was nice being around other people that, like, understood what I'm going through right now with work and insurance and health and everything. It made me feel, I was gonna say normal, but I've never been normal. It made me feel made me feel like I used to feel when I was talking to people, and they would just understand what I feel like every day. Understand what it's like not to feel okay anymore. To, like, wake up every morning and have to push yourself out of bed and push yourself just to be able to do things that people take for granted, like taking a shower is something I used to take for granted. Being able to get up and take a shower and not have to worry about, am I going to pass out? Do I need to sit down? Do I have enough strength to wash my hair today, kind of thing? And it helped. And I had an amazing time. And if you want to check out, Vanessa does not have social media. She's not a social media person, which is fine. If you want to check out a cool service dog Instagram, I believe service dog Kita is Kita and Sydney's Instagram for Kita She is a Saint Bernard Husky mix, I believe, and she's an amazing service dog. The most chill dog I have ever met in my life. Like, if you watch Drew Lynch, she could run Stella for her money, I'm telling you. Like, all day. Just all day. Stone face. And then, of course, Max and Dominique, they have several forms of social media, and of course they have a YouTube channel where I am the main moderator for, and it is Service Dog Paws. So guys, that was just a quick rundown of what I did and why I am not feeling well, and hopefully I can get back to business and get some videos out to you guys soon. And I love you, stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!